All right, what's going on, everybody? And welcome to the first episode of the Premiere Podcast. Now, today we are going to answer a very important question, and that question is: are we becoming a rental nation? There's a lot of signs that are actually pointing toward the answer being yes. I personally think, as much as I do not want to agree or do not want to say so, is we are becoming a rental nation. But what does that actually mean? So check this out. I found this video with regard to the middle class and what it means to be middle class. So check this video out and then we can review here in a second.
Affordable option for everyone. Multiple financial burdens have emerged for everyday Americans, such as increased debt, soaring housing costs, and rampant inflation. These factors have contributed to the decline in homeownership and the shift towards renting. Currently, almost 43 million families live in rented apartments in America, which is the highest level in history. The surge in the number of middle-class renters has been staggering. In the past 5 years, the number of households making from $56,000 to $100,000 a year that decided to rent increased by 82%, according to a recent report from the Joint Center for Housing Studies of Harvard University. At the same time, rental vacancy rates are lower than they've been since 1985, and once renters do find housing, they have to pay the price. The typical home now costs about $80,000 more than it did just 2 years ago, and the average rent in the US is over $1,000 more expensive than it was in 2020. Rents are now climbing an average of 3.5% annually, while middle-class renters' incomes have declined 9% over the past decade. In an interview with ABC, salesman Robert Gary from Columbus, Ohio, said he always lived a comfortable middle-class life until the pandemic changed everything. Now Gary is seeing his pay rise fail in comparison to the rise in cost of...
Whoa, wasn't expecting that ad. But nonetheless, I mean, I guess for me, the biggest thing for me is living in America and being an American. One of the proudest and biggest joys is being able to work, generate wealth, provide for my family, be healthy, and have the freedom to essentially do whatever I want within the confines of the law. One of the vehicles that has been used in America actually to create millionaires, one of the most powerful ways to become a millionaire in the United States of America is by owning real estate. And the fact that there is even a conversation with regard to whether or not I can now buy or I cannot buy or can afford or am not able to afford real estate, right, is kind of mind-blowing. And I just feel like we're kind of late to the game. We've been in it for almost 10 years now, and I still think that's a little late. But nonetheless, I think an important thing to talk about here is the middle class, or at least the standard for the middle class is depicted by two families or, two people in a family, two salaries in a family being able to afford the medium home price in a designated city area, etc. In Seattle, where we're shooting at, the median home price is somewhere in the ballpark of $800,000 per house. You and your spouse or your significant other, whoever, have to be able to afford that. And I feel like that gap between pretty much the upper class and the lower class, that middle class, that division is actually widening now, or more so, it's closing. And the reason why I say that is because you have a situation now where if you are just working a minimum wage job, you are not able to afford an $800,000 home. And I think that's a significant problem. Now, the other thing I should also mention is we're talking about rental prices here also. After COVID, because we had all these rental restrictions here in Washington State, I should say, landlords were not able to increase rent. And so what ended up happening is as soon as those rental increases were continued or were allowed to continue, you see an astronomical increase in rental prices that people weren't able to afford. Now you have a changing dynamic with regard to the rental market, qualified renters, and the income requirements needed to meet these new rental amount expectations. You have interest rates that are significantly higher now. A lot of people, oftentimes, they'll ask me, oh, well, I'm waiting on the perfect moment. I'm waiting on the perfect condition. I've said this in other podcasts, and I'm going to reiterate it today. A really, really big, important thing not to overlook is if you are in a position to buy, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. And it's not just so us as real estate agents can get business, and it's not so much just a situation where you can just buy a house. Like, this opportunity is so golden. Like, we take it for granted being able to afford a home, right? And now that it's becoming unaffordable for a majority of Americans, I would say, or at least a lot of Washingtonians, right? Or just people all over the nation. I really, really feel that it's a privilege and it's an honor that we shouldn't disrespect. So are we becoming a rental nation? Yeah, I believe so. And the reason why is because interest rates are higher. So you need to make more money to be able to afford a house. But then on top of that, you also have family to less expensive areas. You have property taxes that are going up with increasing home values. And then you have the overall rental rate, right? So the amount of money